But when this ceremony was introduced into Thailand by King Wachirawut, who was educated at Sandhurst and Oxford, served in the Durham Light Infantry, and became an honorary general in the British Army, the British king was also a Far Eastern king. In fact, he was the King Emperor of India. In Bangkok, the capital city, on a day of celebration, King Bhumibol makes his way to Thailand's central Buddhist shrine, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha. The study in his palace looks and sounds like a command post. Here he talks to David Lomax about his job as king.
How do you see your duty as a king? Why do you think that Thailand should continue to have a king?
It's not for me to say. I do things that I think is useful, and that's all.
But are you conscious, as King of Thailand yourself, of being able to do something which you feel wouldn't be possible without a monarchy here?
Well, I don't know what can be defined as king. That is a big trouble, because in my position is called, I am called a king. But my duties, if you have noticed, is not the duty of a king. It's something that is quite different or difficult to define. I do things I think that will be useful, and that is all. If you ask me what I had in mind, what the plan I had no plan. Just like I'm today, we are going to have something and we are going to do it. We don't know what the something is, but we are going to do something that is good. That is the plan or the spirit. Anywhere we go, we are looked at, and people are interested in us. They look at us, they don't want to bother us. They want to know more how they eat, how they sit, how they walk. They don't look with curiosity or hostility.
Kings and queens of Thailand have always been in close contact with the people, really. And they usually regard the kings as father of nation. That's why usually we don't have much private life, because we are considered father and mother of the nation. So naturally, we are all the time with the people.
To the king, Thailand's danger means that state ceremonial is no empty form. Speeches at the royal audience for his birthday, no mere platitudes, but expression of the struggle for survival.
ข้าพระพุทธเจ้าทั้งหลายทราบแก่ใจอยู่โดยตระหนักชัดว่าการที่ประชาราษฎรไทย
Having praised the king's compassion and impartiality, the Crown Prince calls upon him blessings from Buddha and from the country's protective gods and spirits.
Kingship, if we have to use this word, has changed all the time. Since the old times and then since the advent of founding of Bangkok, our capital, it has always changed. My great-grandfather was the philosopher king. He was the king that you know under the name of King Mongkut.
The most sacred image of Thailand, the center of the Grand Palace, the Emerald Buddha. The image is actually made of jade and is about 2,000 years old. It was installed here by Rama I, founder of the Chakri dynasty. This ceremony on the coronation anniversary shows more than any other how the king has made ancient court procedure relate to the pressing current needs of the country. The oath of allegiance to the land, taken in the presence of the Buddha. The men gathered here to take the oath are soldiers. Earlier in the day, they were decorated for bravery against the communist insurgents. Ancient rite is practiced by those at risk from modern danger. This ceremony shows more clearly how the king is indeed the soul of his nation, the center round which army, government, and religion cohere. The participants in the ceremony remind us of the danger that threatens this nation and its soul. Buddhist rite though it is, there is also the typical Thai admixture of Hinduism. Here the officials are Brahmins, descendants of Hindu immigrants, whose function in the state is to keep alive the Hindu rituals which originally came from India many centuries ago. Brahmin priests, incidentally, do have to pass a novitiate as Buddhist monks. The state sword is dipped in lustral water. It has now been purified.
สมาชิกรามาธิบดีว่าตามข้าพเจ้าข้าพเจ้าขอกระทำสัตย์ปฏิญาณสาบานตัวต่อประเทศชาติและประชาชนชาวไทย
The oath of allegiance is taken to the land. If at any time I dishonor my pledge, may misfortune fall upon me and plague me forever. An older version of the oath, no longer used, contains a powerful set of possible deaths for those who flout its precepts: lightning and thunderbolts, royal weapons, poison, and the animals of land or water.
ทนุบำรุงประเทศชาติสืบไปได้
In the past, incidentally, the king did not take the oath himself. His power was godlike. That he now takes the oath is a bowing to modern notions of kingship. The king's convoy in action. It leaves more or less every day when he's in the regions and covers about 30,000 miles a year. The purpose of these tours is always twofold. On the one hand is the improvement in the people's welfare and the development which the king achieves, and this is certainly significant. On the other hand, there is his presence as king among the villagers. Before his visit, they may feel themselves neglected. In his presence, and after he has gone, they know that they are not. The ladies-in-waiting act as social workers, taking extensive notes on every case so that each one can be followed up afterwards. This means typing up every night, and a lot of work when the court is returned to Bangkok. No previous king had ever even visited the northeast. King Bhumibol spent the first 10 years of his reign traveling very thoroughly through every district of the country so that he could see the problems in detail at first hand. This detailed knowledge now forms a base for rapidly expanding work in all kinds of development. Always the encouragement, listening to their problems, helping them to help themselves.
Did they have any particular problem they wanted you to?
No problem. They were very happy. And I asked in what temple they were going, and they said the name, and I looked in the map. And there's a old temple here, and they did not remember the name.
They seem to be very impressed with your geographical knowledge.
Oh, because they are very happy when somebody comes and knows about their village.
But you go everywhere with this map, I notice. It never, not this particular one, but
Yes,
there
yes,
is never a map from your hand.
I try to have a map so that I know where I'm going. and they are happy when they know that the official map is, the village is on their map.
Are there some occasions when people live in villages that aren't marked on your map or that have the wrong name?
Well, that is what happened now.
What is what happened?
There's a village, there's no name, and I put a name on it.
The King and Queen received representatives of friendly countries, both formally and informally, turning state functions into personal affairs whenever possible.
I saw that blue, lovely blue.
A natural part of the royal family's job is to promote the country's crafts, culture, and special products, even at parties. The Queen is very much concerned to increase silk production throughout the country. And she makes a point of wearing Thai fabrics herself. This is one of the King's new dams. Irrigation is probably the aspect of development to which he contributes most. Apart from his boat with a rudderless engine, the King has designed dams and irrigation channels himself. With his quick grasp of the subject, he always makes his experts work hard. And though he seems able to master almost anything he puts his hand to, it is probably the many facets of engineering for which he has the most talent.
Oh, yes, yes.
The King carries a two-way radio with him at all times. He is said even to sleep with it. This means that he's the first to hear of any crisis. But he seems oblivious to everything as he concentrates on the job in hand.
And helped by this water.
An army camp. These soldiers have been waiting all day for the King's arrival. That is often the case, but the Thais do not mind waiting. It is still such an honor to see the King.
Could you tell us why you think it's so important to come and inspect a military position like this, please?
They have an important task to do, is to keep the area safe, their territory safe, and in fact to help the people, because the people in this area is very, very poor, so poor. This is the place where it is called so-called liberated area, one of the liberated area. It isn't red anymore, but still the fact is the people are very poor still. So the soldier here helps to give them advice on how to grow their crops and how to look after their children. They are loved everywhere, the soldiers, I mean, because they don't fight with arms only, because they have been looking after the welfare of the people most. In fact, they have won the heart of the people. I think that is the right way to fight the insurgents.
After the day's visible work and activities are over, the King can spend 4, 5, or even 6 hours alone in his study at night, surrounded by teleprinters, radio sets tuned into police or army frequencies, and other communication devices. He debriefs himself on the day and plans tomorrow's trip.
Could you explain what you're doing with these maps, please?
If I see something, you see circles there, places that can be developed. And you can see a place there with a red thing there. It's a kind of reservoir, damming and for making a small reservoir. And then when there are the engineers, the irrigation engineer, I can ask them if it is practical to do that. And sometimes they go and inspect the place and can have a survey on the spot.
Why do you have all these radio sets everywhere, all these receivers, transmitters, telexes? What are they all for?
Well, communication. I think that you should know that radio is for communication. I don't have television here.
Now, I've heard people say that this is your personal intelligence network.
I wouldn't say intelligence, but sometimes it is very useful. Sometimes when you know about the news of some disaster hitting somewhere, you can help them very quickly, and that speed is the most important factor. So that I get the news by the telex or by the radio. Most of the what you hear here doesn't concern me. It's sometimes there is a murder somewhere. Sometimes I can have some news of they have caught a caravan of heroin or something like that. It is better than to listen to the broadcast or other things.
When you sit here by yourself for several hours every evening, looking at your maps and listening to the radios, is that because you are a lonely man, or because you need to have some time by yourself after all the public side of your life outside?
That is a question that can be answered in many ways. I'm not lonely, and I have work to do. So I have to do the work. The way of doing work is to have some concentration, that is some peace. And then one can think more clearly. It is a way of preparing myself to be able to do whatever circumstances will have me to do. I gather information by listening. I gather information by looking at the maps, or at reading, or thinking. And then when time comes, I have the material in my head.
Standing under the portraits of her predecessors, whom protocol did not allow to work as she does, Her Majesty was presented with the Ceres Medal of the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations.
My husband and I are not content with only visiting or doing the conventional things. We must try to do something better than that. We must try to help the government to promote the welfare of the people, because we are underdeveloped country. So the task of mere visiting the people as a conventional duty of head of state is nonsense. If we cannot participate in helping alleviate the misery of the people, then we consider it a failure to be a head of state.
The royal family use helicopters to visit the more isolated parts of Thailand. Frequently on such visits, they perform life-saving service by removing sick people to hospital, or in the case of a border raid such as this, lifting out the dead and wounded. The king's work among the peasants takes him closer and closer to sharp personal danger. One of the king's many hobbies is firearms, and amongst other things, he has designed a gun mounting for helicopters. Is the time coming when he will have to put this knowledge to practical use? More or less every male Thai, kings included, becomes a monk for a short time in early manhood. A standard length of stay is 3 months during the rainy season between June and October, which is a kind of Buddhist Lent. On his entrance into the order, the king spoke to the nation and said, "From the training which I have received, as well as out of my own personal belief, it is my view that Buddhism, which is our national religion, is one of the great religions of the world. Buddhism teaches men to achieve good conduct and is rich in veritable precepts which are logical, highly impressive and inspiring. When a king is a monk, he is not obliged to beg his food from commoners. But King Bhumibol waived this rule and went out into the streets just like any other monk.
Usually my husband would come in earlier than I would and meditate, really meditate, because he could control his breathing and he could really concentrate. But I cannot concentrate and meditate yet. I'm learning. I only pray. But my husband said it's all right. That is the same thing as meditating.
How do you both reconcile your faith in Buddhism, with its emphasis on not taking life, no bloodshed, with your role as head of the armed forces of an army and its campaign at the moment?
This is a problem. This is a problem, but when a soldier holds a gun, this gun should be intended to shoot. And shoot what? Shoot an enemy. That is a living being. But if he holds that gun with the intention of guarding, preserving his country, with this intention, he is not sinful. And even if he has somebody who comes and it's the enemy, he must shoot. He has to shoot. Why? Because he has the intention of guarding his country, of preserving his country. And, by the way, also the religion. If the enemy comes, the country is gone, is destroyed, there's no religion, and there's no good.
Loving kindness is the real thing one should give to other person. To give, not to take only, to give, to love. So that's the reason my husband and I can work year after year, day after day, without being ill. But we know that when it's time to die, nobody can escape.